In London's exclusive Belgravia, where white stucco terraces shimmer under soft city light, a quiet transaction has raised royal eyebrows. Sarah, Duchess of York, has sold her elegant Mews house. But not for profit. Far from it. The former royal bride, once one of Britain's most photographed women, has taken a loss of nearly £500,000. For a woman long familiar with both luxury and scandal, this latest chapter has left many asking, was this merely a routine sale? Or a desperate move to keep the crumbling grandeur of Royal Lodge afloat? Sarah Ferguson's financial story has always read like a modern morality tale set against a royal backdrop. A woman of charm and humour, yes, but also of misfortune, impulsive decisions, and costly mistakes. In 2022, she bought a Belgravia townhouse for a reported £4.25 million. She paid in cash. No mortgage, no loan. An outright purchase. The house was meant as an investment for her daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. A smart, forward-looking move, many said. Yet just 3 years later, the house was gone. Sold quietly in August, for £3.85 million, a £400,000 loss, a small fortune in most lives. But in Sarah's, it fits a familiar pattern, a story of money in, money out, and more questions than answers. The official explanation, given by her spokesman, sounded almost benign. She wasn't looking to sell, he said. The tenant wanted to buy it, and it seemed a good time to sell. It was an investment for her girls, and the money will be reinvested accordingly. Yet behind those measured words lies a far more complicated truth. Because timing, as ever in Fergie's world, is everything. When the Duchess agreed to the sale, her public image was already taking another hit. A scandal, not a new one, but one that resurfaced from the past, had cast a long shadow. It triggered a wave of embarrassment and professional fallout. Several charities, once proud to have her as patron or ambassador, abruptly severed ties. Her email correspondence, private words written years ago, had resurfaced. They painted a picture that was, at best, naive, and at worst, reputationally catastrophic. And in an instant, she was back where she's found herself time and again, on the defensive, fighting to protect what remains of her standing, her dignity, and, crucially, her finances. You see, Sarah Ferguson has long lived on the edge of two worlds. In one, she remains the friendly face of the modern monarchy, a mother to two well-liked princesses, a grandmother, a woman who speaks candidly about kindness and mental health. But in the other, she's a figure dogged by debt, business blunders, and ill-fated ventures. Her financial story is littered with high hopes and hard lessons, failed endorsements, unpaid bills, and the occasional bailout from friends in high places. So when word spread that she'd sold her Belgravia home for a loss, many royal watchers saw it not as coincidence, but as consequence. Belgravia, after all, is not just any postcode. It is one of London's crown jewels, home to embassies, billionaires and old money aristocrats. Property prices there have dipped slightly in recent years. The market has cooled, especially in the prime sector. According to the Coutts London Prime Property Index, homes in Belgravia are still down more than 20% from their peak. So on paper, the Duchess's £400,000 loss is in line with the market. But even so, few believe this was merely a property market play, because Sarah Ferguson's financial moves rarely exist in isolation. At the centre of her world stands Royal Lodge, the sprawling £30 million Windsor estate she shares with her ex-husband, Prince Andrew. A 30-room Grade 2 listed mansion surrounded by manicured gardens and royal history. Once home to the Queen Mother herself, for years it has been both a refuge and a burden. Their continued residence there, despite being long divorced, has raised eyebrows and, at times, tempers within royal circles. Especially since King Charles's accession, the new monarch has reportedly encouraged Andrew to downsize to Frogmore Cottage, the former home of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. But the Yorks have resisted, citing a long-term lease agreement that allows Andrew to remain at Royal Lodge until 2078, provided he maintains it to an appropriate standard. And therein lies the problem. Royal Lodge is not a cottage. It's a colossal, ageing property that costs a small fortune to maintain. Roof repairs, heating, security, staff, all of it adds up. Estimates suggest the upkeep could easily reach £400,000 to £500,000 a year, perhaps more. And unlike the days when the Duke enjoyed a steady income from royal duties, today the money must come from somewhere else. Where exactly? No one can say for sure. But when the Duchess sold her Belgravia property, just as questions about the couple's finances swirled once again, many began to connect the dots. Was the sale a good time to sell, as her spokesman claimed? Or was it a strategic move to inject cash into a household under mounting pressure? For Sarah, the loss might have been less about money and more about time. A £400,000 hit could have been a calculated sacrifice, a short-term loss to preserve long-term stability. Because, quite simply, the cost of staying at Royal Lodge may outweigh the pride of keeping a London investment. And after the recent scandal fallout, new income opportunities may be harder to come by. Charities, once her financial and reputational lifeline, are walking away. Corporate brands are cautious, and public sympathy, though never entirely gone, has worn thin. The Duchess's charm, which once made her a regular on talk shows and a marketable figure for health and lifestyle ventures, no longer guarantees steady income. Her 2023 health battle, her breast cancer diagnosis, and later skin cancer scare, earned her some goodwill. But the goodwill has not translated into financial security. For a woman still living in the royal sphere, but outside the royal purse, this is a dangerous position to be in.
To understand how precarious it truly is, one must look at how the Yorks reached this point. When Andrew was stripped of his royal duties, his public funding effectively vanished. What remained was his naval pension, private investments, and, reportedly, help from family connections. Sarah, for her part, has dabbled in everything from publishing to lifestyle branding, even writing romance novels. Some ventures brought modest returns, others brought ridicule. But maintaining Royal Lodge, a symbol of prestige and defiance, demands far more than the income from a few book sales. Insiders have long whispered about financial strain within the Windsor estate's most controversial residents. Contractors reportedly unpaid, maintenance work delayed. Even small details, like overgrown gardens or peeling paint, have been interpreted as signs of pressure behind the palace gates. So when news of the Belgravia sale broke, royal observers didn't see it as random timing. They saw a woman, under pressure from both public scandal and private bills, liquidating assets to stay afloat. For the Duchess of York, the walls may not be closing in, but the rooms, at least metaphorically, are getting smaller. Consider the optics. On one hand, she sells a London home, taking a financial hit. On the other, she remains in a palatial Windsor estate, reportedly pouring resources into its upkeep. The contrast is stark. It sends a message, perhaps unintentional but unmistakable, that maintaining appearances within the royal world still takes precedence over pure financial sense. And if the cost of that image is a few £100,000 lost on a London townhouse, then so be it. Still, Sarah Ferguson has never been one to admit defeat. Publicly, she remains upbeat, even defiant. Her spokesperson insists that the funds from the Belgravia sale will be reinvested for her daughters. A noble sentiment, but those who have followed her career know that reinvestment can mean many things. After all, few women in public life have reinvented themselves as often or as dramatically as Fergie. From scandal to charity work, from exile to acceptance, she has lived through cycles of downfall and redemption with an almost theatrical rhythm. But each comeback has come with a cost, and this one may be the most expensive yet.